It's Celebrate the Win for first priority of the Treasure Coast. And now, here's your host, John Harvey.
Thanks, Josh. Welcome to Celebrate the Win. I'm not going to use the word new normal. I guess I just did. But hey, we're used to having Zoom calls by now. Thank you guys so much for showing up. You know what? Today we want to celebrate what God has done this whole year. We've seen over 4,000 students come to know Christ in first priority clubs. We've seen clubs start in new schools that we've been praying for years. We've even opened up clubs since schools have stopped meeting in person. We've opened up clubs remotely over Zoom. It's been an amazing year, but none of that would have happened without you. So we want to say thank you. And we want to celebrate you. We want you to know that we love you and we care so much for you. We are excited about what God has done through you this past year, and we look forward to partnering you with First Priority next year. So here's what I want to invite you to do. Take a few minutes, sit back, watch this video, enjoy an opportunity to celebrate student leaders, campus mentors who have made a difference in the community around us. You know, this is a time for us to give God glory. This is a time to celebrate who He is and what He has done. And so thank you for being a part of God at work on campus this year. Hey, let's sit back and celebrate the win. I want to introduce you to a really good friend of mine, student leader extraordinaire, doing a great job. This is Summer, and Summer is at the Marine Oceanographic Academy at Fort Pierce Westwood. And that means two things. It means one is she's really smart, and it means two is that she is working really hard to get a brand new club started for First Priority. So Summer, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it's awesome. So glad you were here. Hey, I wanted to ask you a few different questions. One, first of all, kind of how did you first hear about First Priority?
So about almost a year ago in August, I was at a Vive conference with my church, and there was a booth set up outside of it. So I kind of looked at it, but there wasn't one at my school, so I just never really thought much about it.
Yeah, awesome. And then I remember this back at the beginning of the school year, I was actually at your youth group one night, had a booth set up, and we did some things. And then shortly after that, wasn't long after that, your youth pastor and I talked with you. You had gone to him about starting a club, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was going to start my own club, so I was asking him about it. And he introduced me to you, and I'm so glad because it gave me all the resources and stuff I needed to start a club.
That's great. So why did you want to start a club at your school?
I felt like MOA didn't have anybody, there's not a lot of religious people there, and a lot of people don't know about God. So I felt like if I brought a club there, it would help spread the word of God and bring us all together.
Oh, that's great. So you'd said that you were thinking about starting your own club. So before we actually ever talked, you had done some things to kind of get your club to get some approval and stuff. What were some things that you had done before we even talked?
So basically all I had to do was talk to my principal, and he gave me the go-ahead. So that's all I had to do.
Right.
And just find a teacher to help me.
Right. So you're able to get a teacher sponsor, talk to your principal, talk to me. And so we were able to set up and got a campus mentor, JJ Lane, who's an awesome guy and had been wanting to actually get a club started at MOA. And so we were able to get all of us together and get started. And how many in-person meetings did you have with the First Priority Club before the coronavirus hit?
So we met with JJ once, and then we had one meeting, a leader meeting, before it all happened. So just one.
Yeah. So on campus, in person, you only had one meeting, and then you had to immediately go to doing virtual clubs.
Yes.
Yeah. How has it been doing virtual clubs?
It's actually really good because if you just post everything on social media and text a bunch of people about it, the word starts to get around, and some people will like see something on Instagram and wonder what it's about. So then they'll start asking you about it, and it got a lot more people to join than I think it like would have at the actual school.
Okay. So you actually think virtual clubs really helped you get the word out to more people than you could have on your campus?
I think they both would have done well, but I think like different types of people are now at the virtual club that wouldn't have been there originally.
No, that's awesome. So maybe some people are coming who wouldn't normally come.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is, what has been the response of students? What do you hear, like when you guys are having club and you're having discussions about what it means to have a relationship with God and that, what are you hearing other students say?
I feel like it really gets them to think, because we had one student who was just kind of there and didn't ask many questions, but then he ended up actually reaching out to JJ.
Are you using a computer?
And he had a lot more questions, and it got him thinking.
Yeah, that's good. So students are really asking questions. Now at MOA, a lot of students are very science-based.
Yes.
Not a lot of people believe in God or creation or different things. So it's really pretty much open canvas of opportunity to share Christ with students. Not a lot of Christian students, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, that's just an amazing thing that you're reaching out like that. So what have been some things that you've learned as you have gotten the club started, as you're seeing it transition to a virtual club, you've seen students connect? What has that done for your faith?
So it's basically like I need to be more patient, because it can literally start out as 3 people and then it can grow bigger and bigger over time. And also, like, one thing that I've learned is that it doesn't really matter like what background you come from. We can all just kind of get along and talk about God and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. One of the things that I noticed too, you are really strategic on what you share on Instagram. Like, you don't share a lot of pictures and dances and stuff. You share a lot of what questions do you have about God kind of thing. So you are really leveraging your social media to share the message of Christ with students.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of bad stuff on social media. So if you use the platform for good, it will actually get people like thinking and stuff. And it shouldn't matter how many followers you have, because I've lost a ton of followers by doing that. But it should matter about those, like the small percentage of people that you actually help come to Christ.
That's great. And man, we are so excited about all the things that you're doing, Summer. So, hey, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time in the middle of the day. I know you got schools going crazy, all these different things. And thank you so much for how you're serving at First Priority Club. And thanks for sharing with us. I'll talk to you soon. Hey guys, we want to introduce you to 3 people who have done incredible things this year. Celebrate the Win is all about honoring our volunteers and the people who make First Priority happen. These people have gone above and beyond this year, and we're excited to recognize them today.
Hey, good morning. I am with Steve Calabresi. Steve is a mentor here in Indian River County. Good morning, Steve. How are you, man?
Doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. I can't believe it's 10 o'clock on a Friday morning and I'm finally out of bed, so I'm feeling good. No. Listen, this whole pandemic stay-at-home order has allowed me to sleep in for the first time in the history of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get back to work and school. Hey, man, I just want to invite you on this morning, Steve. If I get just a few quick questions to you. You've been a great mentor, and I just have a few things I wanted to throw at you. And so let me just get right to it. Student ministry on campus, why is it important to you?
Wow. Student ministry on campus is, well, first of all, I think it's the forefront of any, ministry that we do, like as a church, as the body of Christ, knowing that students are going to school and they're being bombarded with just how they should be living their life, right? They're being told day in and day out, this is how you should be living. This is what you should be doing. These are the important things in your life. And as they go to school, as they're impacted by their friends, we see that their lives are being changed, their lives are being impacted. And so I think that, First Priority does a really good job of bridging that gap between the body of Christ and this idea of a student culture. I think it's really cool how, the students themselves, right? They learn in an environment that's comfortable to them. And when they have the opportunity to actually grow in their relationship with God and do that with their friends, they're actually growing together. And I think that's great. I also think that student ministry is super important because it's something that people often think of, and they kind of like, let's give the students the old couch, kind of approach. Let's give them this secondhand use thing, and being able to give our first fruits to the student ministry, being able to say, what, students are important, and they do value they are valuable, and they are worth it, and they are loved, and they are they are the next generation. I think is so important.
Yeah, listen, man, and you don't just say that with words that sometimes some people say and it comes back empty. Man, you live that. You have been involved on 3 campuses this year. You've been lead at Sebastian River Middle School. You've been there every morning at Sebastian Charter Junior High at 7:30, early wake up, sitting on the sidelines, just there to support and do whatever. And then every week at Sebastian River High School, man, you have been there and you have served at every level, from greeting, speaking, serving food, opening gates for kids. Man, you have really lived that. So let me move to this. Why First Priority, the model of First Priority, and what was the buy-in for you?
So I think that, structure of First Priority yields way to the beauty of the gospel, right? So being able to see how, First Priority addresses just sharing the gospel with students, being able to equip and prepare students to actually share their faith. I think that there's beauty in that structure. The way that First Priority is set up, the way that they actually go about doing things is so it's so great because it allows a very easy method to follow, right? You have the equipping week, the proclaiming week, and everything is through intercessory prayer, and then being able to go out and connect them back again with the church. I think that strategy that First Priority has in play, that the way that they do that is a great use for the gospel. I've also seen that I really enjoy the fact that First Priority has materials, that they equip the campuses with Bibles. For our location, and this as well as I do, just our students are awesome. And they're, anytime that we can give them anything free, they're always just like, yeah, take it. They're always like, yeah, take it. Free pizza, whether it's a free Bible, whether it's just invite cards. Anytime that we have anything to give them that's free. And most of most of the people that are in First Priority, they know that as well, that students love free stuff. And so First Priority being able to give out free stuff is great as well. I also really do like just the idea that there is a unifying banner, that it's something that, as a youth pastor myself, and other youth pastors in the area, we are able to come together under one unifying banner for the glory of God and the good of his people, being able to reach the gospel with these students under one name, with like one loud battle cry, like First Priority. And so we kind of have that as a unifying thing as well.
Man, I love that too, because it doesn't matter our church background, our denominations. We all have a very, very focused goal, and that is proclaiming the good news of Christ right on campus. Well, listen, Steve, this is more than just a couple of questions to you this morning. This is really about saying to you, hey, you are the mentor of the year for Indian River County, man. And we want to say thank you so much from Chris Lane and John Harvey and all the team from the South, from Miami-Dade all the way up, for Indian River County, man. Your investment, your love for students, your commitment to first priority in the program, week in, week out, your dedication, man, it has been noticed by not just me, but many. And so, man, we want to say thank you. Now, that's going to come more than just words in a video. First Priority wants to bless you in several different ways, and that'll come in a few days from now. But, man, we just wanted to give you a shout out this morning and say thank you so much for all that you have done and committed to loving students through the First Priority model right on your campus. Hey, real quick, man, you hear all the sounds of the claps. There they are. But, man, just a couple closing thoughts, and then, man, we're going to get out of here and let us get back to work.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. I think closing, right? With student ministry, with anything student related, we can say a lot of words, but that really falls short sometimes when it's in line with our actions, right? Right. And there's a level of consistency that I think is important to sharing the gospel, that is important to connecting with students. And so, like, if I were to give any closing thoughts, to anyone that maybe is watching this, I would say this, that your consistency in the way that you live and the things that you say and how they line up, and you actually being and showing up to serving at First Priority, showing up, to your students when you're saying you're going to be there, and actually, getting plugged into their lives, that level of consistency, that level of love and care, it is the gospel. You're able to show them that you love them, not just tell them that you love them. And by you being there day in and day out, building that relationship with them, shaking hands, handing out pizza, whatever the case may be, you're being the hands and feet of Jesus. And so, as an encouraging thing to encourage you, I encourage you to run that race of endurance, but do so in a way that is glorifying to God, not to man. And so, do that in a way that is actually saying, you know what, every step that I take, every move that I make is being done for the glory of God.
Amen, man. Hey, nothing to add to that. So that's awesome. Steve, listen, thank you, man. Thank you for all you do. I'm going to let you get back to work. Have a great day, man. We love you.
Hey guys, this is John Harvey, and I am so excited to be with you today. I'm with my good friend, Debbie LaBeouf. She is the campus mentor at Southport Middle School in Port St. Lucie. How you doing today, Debbie?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me to come and share my story, John.
Yeah, great. So Debbie has done some amazing things at Southport. We've seen a lot of students really connect into the ministry. So tell me a little bit, how did you first get connected into First Priority?
Well, my husband came home one day and told me he was at a pastor's meeting. And I believe you were there, John. You came to share about First Priority. And he came home and told me all about First Priority. And I had never heard about it before. And what was interesting is just probably the year before, I was researching how I could go into the schools and just share the gospel in the school, because I had the knowledge that you could do a club, that it was doable, but I just didn't know how to go about it. So when I heard about this, I was like, this is it. This is what I've been wanting to do. So it was great news to hear that it's already something that's been established. And I believe we had a meeting with you, and that's how it all started.
That's awesome. And your church has really been behind it quite a bit. I mean, people have come a lot to help you with club and be a part of what you're doing, right? So it's been kind of involved a lot of people from your church as well, not just you, right?
Yes, we've had guest speakers from our church come and attend. I've had ladies come and help me with some of the activities that we've done. So it's been a church thing, and it's been wonderful to see how everybody was excited to be a part of it.
Right. That's awesome. So we went from a afternoon club last school year, to actually making it function as a lunch club this year when the school year was really going. How was that attended? How did the lunch club work? Tell us a little bit about what you were doing on campus during that time.
Yeah, we started when I joined, it was in the afternoon, and that was difficult because there was a lot of afternoon activities that were a challenge in competing with the club. So we would go from 8 kids to 15 to 20 on any given day. So at the end of that first year, the facilitator of the school told me she was not able to do it in the afternoons anymore. So we said, let's try to do the lunchtime. And she started talking to some of the teachers and the principal, and they said yes, that we could do that. And when the year started, the challenge was really finding the room. We didn't have a room that we could have it in until finally there was this room that was in the middle of being transformed into a computer class. And they said, well, you can use this in the meantime until we can find something. So we started in that room, and the first day, I think we had like 14 kids in the first one and like 10 in the second lunch hour. And little by little, it just it boomed. The kids heard about it, and it started to grow and grow. And we had a lot of kids, and the room was perfect. And we were just like really maxed out in that room. And then God bless us with an even better room, and we could hold even more kids. And I believe at some point we had over 100 kids come in between the two lunches, and everything was going really wonderful. And then the school had to go through a change that they were doing some construction in the AC unit. So we lost that perfect room, and we had to downsize, and there was no other room available. So we went and we got the teacher's lounge, which is this very small classroom or room next to the cafeteria. And we could only squeeze in 20 kids at a time. And that was a challenge because now we had to decide how we're going to let all the kids that want to join, who's going to be coming into the room. And we tried different things like sign up sheets, who's going to come, this week and then the following week, first come, first serve. We tried different things. But what I was blessed to see is the desire of the kids to be there. And they really wanted to be part of the club. And it was sad to see that we had to turn them away and say, no, there's not enough room. But it was good to see the desire of being a part of this club. And it really helped us. I believe God allowed that to happen so we can develop the leaders. We were having difficulty developing leaders in the big room with a lot of kids. And that small setting allowed us to get to know each other a little bit better and pick the leaders for the club. So it all worked out wonderful, I think, at the end.
Yeah, that was great. And you did an incredible job of kind of navigating the club through that, because there was a lot of transition. And I remember being those, first few weeks in that small room, it was really kind of disheartening for you, but you saw God work through it anyway. Students would come and people would invite their friends to come, and they would hear the message of Christ. And a lot of students came to know Christ. From what I can tell from our records, about 50 students this school year at Southport made decisions for Christ. So that's amazing. That's an incredible thing. Tell me about how you start each club. What do students get when they first come in, and how do you do that? Because you do something that most of our clubs don't do. Tell me a little bit about it.
I think being a middle school is a good thing because I think at that age, children really work well with reward candy. You can just use about anything for it. And I had the idea of using a raffle system, like I would raffle something at the end of the club. I started off with gift cards or candy or coupons, whatever, something. And I really believe that that's what's got the excitement going in the school. Like they heard, hey, there's a raffle going on, let's do it, let's go. So I would reward them. Candy works, sweets work, and all those things that they love. Movie tickets, all those things are stuff that they want to get, and that brought them in. But I really saw a change in a lot of these kids, and I heard some really neat stories, like some of them getting connected to a church. And that was a wonderful, wonderful thing to hear. And I think for me, it was such a growing experience for me, as I tend to be a person that likes to everything in order. Everything has to be set. And it was not like that. The whole year was there. It was every time there was a surprise. Oh, we lost the room. Oh, there was always a challenge. And through it all, God just helped me to be flexible. It was His club, and I just needed to show up and be there. and be friendly to the kids and share the love of God with them, and just let everything else let the Lord handle everything else. I wasn't in control. I really was not, because it was a challenge. Every time we would go, it was something different. And he just stretched me so much, because I needed to learn that not everything has to be organized and perfect. It could just be, you be there, be faithful, show up. And that's all I need to do. Just show up.
Yeah, that's great. And you had some pretty special help. I know Janae Hunter from TC3 helped you out a lot. You also had one really faithful helper. Tell me about her, because she's pretty special.
Yes. Janae was awesome. She's very good with the kids. She has a lot of experience. She's the youth leader at her church. She's very bubbly and happy, and the kids just love her. And I also happen to have my daughter. She's 15, Lindsay. Very similar to Janae, very loving, very bubbly, and she loved going and helping me out. She even shared a couple times at the club, and I was very proud of her, because I know how difficult it is to share your story or share anything in front of your peers. And these kids are basically around her age. But she really enjoyed going, and she helped me with the raffles. She helped me with the setup, the cleanup, whatever needed to get done. She was there for me, and I appreciate my daughter very, very much.
Yeah, she did a great job. It was really fun to watch her jump in and just really begin to lead. So it was awesome when I was there, being able to watch her be a part of that. So
Yes.
Hey, Debbie, I want to share with you, you have just done an amazing job this year. It has been great watching the club grow and expand, and students step into leadership, and you really help develop a vibrancy on that campus. And I just want to share with you, because of that and just because of your work, we have given you the award St. Lucie County Mentor of the Year this year. We are super proud of you. We love you. We have a special plaque that we're going to get to you as soon as I can, and some gift certificate to your favorite restaurant. So think about where you'd like to go eat. And we just want to tell you, we love you. We appreciate all the hard work that you've put in, and we're really thankful for you.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. You didn't have to, but I appreciate it.
Well, that's great. Well, we want to honor you. You're just done a great job. And so we're excited about that. And we're excited to share that with everybody here at Celebrate the Win. So thanks so much. All right.
Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, well, we're here with Kristen Mcwilliams, one of our longest tenured coaches, mentors with First Priority here in Martin County. Kristen goes also by KT, so if you hear me call her that, it's not weird. But KT, how are you doing?
Doing really well. You know, like we all say, finding the new normal, ready to shift things a little bit, but overall grateful to be well. How about you?
Awesome. And I'm glad to be virtually hanging out with you. I know everyone's excited to get back to in-person network stuff and hanging out. But KT, I wanted to have you on here today to talk a little bit about Hidden Oaks Middle School. Now, how long have you been the mentor at Hidden Oaks?
I tried to go back through and count the years the other day, but I got a little blurry. So it's somewhere between 7 and 10 years.
Somewhere between 7 and 10.
Somewhere.
Okay.
You know, yours just kind of blur together. I think it's closer to 10, but
middle schoolers will do that to you. They'll kind of start blurring the years. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. I know you were one of the very first campus mentors and coaches here in Martin County, jumping in to serve at that school. And HOMS is a really unique school. And for you, when you first started, probably even more unique because it's right across the street from where you were serving in the local church. So pretty cool experience, I think, for you to be able to have youth group at your church, but also have the First Priority Club right across the street at the middle school. Tell me a little bit about what that dynamic was like over the years.
Yeah, it was really awesome because in youth group, you have something to talk about and promote that's right in the schools. So that was always so cool because you feel like, oh man, I'm going to see these kids on a Monday or Tuesday night or Sunday, but then it's like, I want to see them again at school. So it'd be so cool to say, hey, let's do First Priority. It's on a Wednesday morning. So just knowing that there was that connection point makes First Priority and youth pastorship we'll call it youth pastoring, just like the perfect marriage, which I love. And it'd be so cool to see some of our kids on leadership were either kids that I had in my youth group or would be at a friend's youth group. And because we were all part of the same network together, could really talk about like, oh yeah, that person's gifts are these. So let's make sure that we help, train them up to do this, or that person would be really good at this, or they know this person. So I really just see all of that working synergistically together. And it was one of my favorite things to look forward to in the middle of the week of, okay, I'm going to get to see these kids and be on campus, and just the joy that I felt being there would kind of carry me through the rest of the week.
Well, and were you guys doing Tuesday night youth group at that time?
Mm-hmm.
So you had Tuesday night youth group and then Wednesday morning First Priority. So there's a lot of synergy there too. Like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow, and kind of connecting those two things, right?
Yeah, it was truly such a fun season of my life. And I love doing First Priority so much that I continued it even when my job shifted. Served at Palm City Presbyterian Church, loved that, and then felt this draw from the Lord into Young Life, and have been doing that for the past 3 years and have loved that. And it's been cool to still be a part of that campus through Palm City Presbyterian Church and through Young Life, and to kind of see different kids, different pockets that I hadn't met before, get re-involved or involved in the first place at First Priority.
So thinking back throughout, your 8 to 10 to 25, however many years of doing ministry on campus, what are some stories or moments that really stick out in your mind, that things that happen, God moments throughout that time?
Yeah. And just to make it easier to understand why I can't keep track of years, I don't even know my own age most of the time. So, it just blurs. But a couple stories that are not a blur and are very clear in my mind. One of our students came in she was either end of 6th grade or beginning of 7th grade, and had a really, really hard couple of years leading up to that. And a friend of hers wrote her a handwritten note and said, come to First Priority, and it had like an airhead in it. And she had said that she had been invited 100 times by me, by just like seeing the posters in the school. But as soon as she got that handwritten note from a friend that she wanted to go, and she came, and she felt like her own faith got just deeper, and she joined the leadership team and was an amazing leader for us for those couple of years before she graduated out. And then what's been so cool is she's come back as a high school student and come back to encourage the club and say, listen, this is the power of a personal invitation, and this is really, First Priority became a home to me at this school and gave me my dearest friends and a sense of leadership and understanding my gifts. And it's so cool to see her now as a high school student. She's not as involved just because of her schedule has changed, but she still pops in when she can. But the gifts and the leadership traits that were developed then have followed her into her other things in the high school. So that's been so cool to see. And then we had some seasons where there were some moms that were volunteering in the classroom. And it would be so cool to see them come in and say at the beginning of the day, my son or daughter has been having a really hard week. Would you keep them in your prayers? And of course, I wouldn't say anything to the kids, but would just kind of watch them in club. And it'd be so cool to see them come in with a downcast face and then walk out at the end of the day with just the biggest smile, knowing that they were in a place with people that loved them. They were reminded of God's great love for them and the sacrifice that Jesus made for them on the cross. And it just, I don't know, it gave them what they needed to go back into their week. So that was always really cool to have that insider information and to see the transformation even in the course of the day. And then we've had other times where there's been kids from First Priority Club that went through a really hard time with their family of losing someone or an illness, and to see our kids really just come alongside and share God's love with them and write notes or figure out ways to send meals was really cool. And then of course, just the moments where you see a kid that you've prayed for all semester that has come and kind of sat in the back with their arms crossed and didn't really want to get engaged. And then it's that final mission week that of course, like Josh is speaking at or whatever. And they are so touched by the dog story. And they're like, I want to be rescued too. Okay, it doesn't have to be the dog story, but that's a good one. But just to see that kid that you've prayed for all semester come to know Jesus and then get plugged back into one of my friends' churches. There's just nothing like that.
There really isn't. It's really a unique thing. I mean, to get to see that outside of your church context. And just to brag on you for a second, I think you had one of the most intentional leadership gatherings with your students of all the clubs that I've ever really been interacting with. So tell us a little bit about what that looked like those weekly off-campus meetings that you guys had.
Yeah, they weren't quite weekly, so can't take that credit, but we would gather like every 3 weeks at Panera, and we would do a time where we did a leadership lesson, looking to see what God's word said about being a Christian leader. And then we would pray for our club, pray for our leaders, pray for the upcoming week. We would assign out all of the tasks that everybody was going to be doing for the month. And it was so cool because we go back to campus, and instead of scrambling on campus, it really was, okay, we know exactly what we're doing. We can spend more time in prayer and connecting with people rather than trying to do the logistics. So that was really cool. And it was great because in that time we would talk about like, okay, here's some areas that we've really not done our best. And what do we do as Christians when we're failing? How do we bring it back to God and let Him give us the fresh passion and vision and excitement, instead of just saying, well, I can't improve it, or letting it beat us down. So that was cool to see with middle schoolers, kind of them have this safe place to say, okay, we didn't hit the mark here, but what's so cool about God and His grace is that He's always inviting us into a new and better way with Him, rather than trying to do it on our own. So that was really cool. I think one thing that really was something that I missed, and so I want to just encourage youth pastors in that season, once I did shift from being at a church and being at Hidden Oaks and having that connection, and kind of shifted into a different role, I didn't have that same really like close connection with those kids on a weekly basis at youth group. And so then I feel like the leadership at that point got a little bit harder, and we had to get a little bit more creative of what it looked like. So for those of you who are youth pastors and are on campus, which is probably the majority of people, I'm guessing, just want to really encourage you to love that time and cherish it, because it's so cool to see the exponential growth.
Well, that's the thing. Over time, you begin to see, development in some students, and then you start to realize you need to spend more time with other students. And I think that connection is really important. Well, KT, thanks for hanging out with us. But before you go, one of the reasons we wanted to have you on today is we are going to name you Campus Mentor of the Year for Martin County. And so you're going to get like a plaque. I'll get to you at some point here during the social distancing stuff. And then a gift certificate for whatever restaurant you and your husband want to go have dinner. So make sure you start thinking about where you want to go eat, and I'll hook you up with that as well. But thank you so much for all that you've done here with Hidden Oaks and in the network, and just being a great encourager for those of us who are trying to reach the campus.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an honor, and I feel like that definitely not person of the year, but that's cool and an honor. So thank you for allowing me, and it's been fun, Josh, to be able to do this alongside you for, however many millions of years together. So thank you for being such a great director to us and friend to us and fellow youth minister with us.
Awesome. Thanks, KT.